Can I get some whiskey? Well, a little more than that.
There you go.
Okay. Oh.
E150 food coloring. Still a lot of water though.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
Okay, Daniel, why the hell is there caramel coloring in my whiskey?
So those who defend it, defend it on the basis that it creates product consistency from batch to batch when the impacts of the wood are not the same as the impacts on the flavor for coloring, right?
Okay.
So say in Scotland you have 100 barrels and you mix them all together and it looks like X.
Sure.
And that's what everyone comes to know and love and expect.
Right.
Right? And then the next time you grab 100 barrels, it tastes the same, smells the same, everything about the whiskey is the same, but it's a little bit lighter. In a lot of different countries, there's different rules.
Okay.
And even in our country, there's different rules.
It feels misleading. It feels misleading.
It really does. Now, I'm not agreeing with them. I'm just saying.
I understand.
That's the logic.
At the end of the day, there's a tremendous number of whiskey enthusiasts, whiskey lovers, that once they find out a whiskey has coloring in it, they completely write off that whiskey.
Done.
Like, nope. And I get where they're coming from. You get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but
I'm not gonna go on record or into battle defending it.
Nah, the thing that you and I try to prioritize above all else.
Right.
Does it taste good?
Yeah, and if it tastes good, it just doesn't bother me like it bothers some.
Well, I'll tell you why it would bother if it did affect the taste in a noticeable way.
Oh yeah.
Let's find out.
All right.
Distiller's caramel.
Let's talk about caramel color.
The different variations. There's there's
So E150 is the caramel food coloring, right? There's gradients. In America, it's class 1, I think, and there's gradients, A, B, C, and D. A is the purest in the sense that it's the least flavor impact.
Okay.
Which is why that's the one that's specified in Scottish and UK law. But B adds sulfites, and as you go down through the A to D, it gets more flavored.
So what do we have?
We essentially have E150B.
We're gonna try and match it up as perfectly as possible. Okay, so different countries have different laws whenever it comes to caramel food coloring.
Yeah, in Scotland, Ireland, England, you can only do E150A, but EU rules allow you to go B and C. So it's possible that if it's being released in the EU but not abiding by other laws, it might actually have another kind. So I did 3 drops just now.
3 drops. Okay.
I'm going slow because I want to see what happens. It's already kind of blending in.
Yeah.
In Canada, you can add anything, flavoring and color, up to 9.09%.
9.09%.
Yeah.
That's almost a tenth of the whiskey.
I saw someone on the message board.
Wait, almost a tenth of the whiskey
can be flavoring.
Flavoring or color.
Yeah. We're up to 8 drops. But their spirit flavoring that they add to a whiskey in Canada has to also be aged for at least 2 years. Oh. So we're getting kind of like headed towards Irish whiskey or Bruichladdich. Because Bruichladdich adds no coloring to their whiskeys. In America, there's only, if you want to be guaranteed that you don't have anything at all added, then drink bourbon.
So you're saying America does allow food coloring in whiskeys?
It does.
Not bourbon though.
And not anything straight. So if it has the word straight, if it's just a spirit, like a rye, a malt, a bourbon, if it has the word straight next to it, none of that has food coloring. If it's bourbon at all, it doesn't have food coloring. However, once you get into the blending category, blended bourbon, blended rye, blended malt, they can all have food coloring.
The coloring that we're using is E150B.
Yeah.
Okay, and in American whiskey, you can use B.
So basically, every category of whiskey can have up to 2.5% additional coloring and flavoring added, as long as it doesn't call itself a bourbon or a straight spirit. But in France, that kind of thing is common industry. We're up to 16 drops. So in France, coloring and flavoring of things is industry practice done for centuries. So like for example, if you're making a brandy and you're aging it, it is extremely normal to create essentially wood flavoring vodkas and you age it right alongside the brandy, and then you blend it into the brandy to add in wood bitterness into your flavor profile.
Yeah.
That's a known thing. 15, 16. All right, we're getting there.
We're getting into whiskey territory now.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to go pretty hefty, I think, on this. We're up to 32 drops now. 13, 14, 15.
60 drops of E150 food coloring. Mm-hmm. And this is still a little darker. Take it to 70.
Take it to 70, baby.
All right.
Right in
going up to 70 drops.
The danger zone. I'll be your wingman anytime. You know what it is? The density, like just alone, the density. Like this is just more see-through. It doesn't have any of the other oil compounds.
This is a cast strength bourbon.
I bet we could do 5 more drops.
A little bit more cross section of the whiskey. You can tell that's a little bit lighter. Take it to 80.
All right.
Going to 80. Pretty damn close.
But notice, like I said, the density is different. So assuming that our drops were a pretty standard 0.05 milliliters per eyedropper, right. We put in 4 milliliters. Okay. So we put in about that much. Okay. Caramel coloring. To this much volume of water. You know what we have to do now, don't you? Taste it. We're gonna do a taste test. Yeah. We got just straight water and our colored water. Mm-hmm. There is it's a slight it's like a low funky chemical smell. Yeah, and a slight bitterness to it. So as we've been doing this, I was thinking primarily the countries that are using E150 food coloring to darken whiskeys, Scotland and Ireland. Does Ireland also use a lot of used barrels? Yeah. Okay, so used barrels, the coloring impact from the barrel, right? Whenever it's used, it's a lot less. Well, even in the States, I mean, we've got some used barrel whiskey over there that's 4 years old. And it's lighter. And it's half as dark as the 2-year-old bourbon we had. Exactly. Yeah. And the same mash bill, too. Yeah. So, for the record, we're never releasing a product that has coloring in it. Yeah, no, we're never gonna do that. We're not gonna do it. Never, ever gonna do it. Never gonna chill a filter. Well, hold on. I can think of only one exception. Oh. If we wanted to do a joke release, that was basically, so was titled like, LOL, it's all food coloring, you chumps. Yeah. Right? Then, it was the entire purpose of the release was to rag on food coloring, but that's not something we're doing here. Mix up the glasses. Okay. Not looking. Okay. Okay. Moving my hands to the appropriate place. Okay, let's see here. It's the food coloring. Yeah. You want me to do it again? No. I can do this 10 times in a row, man. No, I buy it. It's not overwhelming, but it's definitely there. Okay. Whenever it's just in water. Right. We're getting the benefit of no distraction, just the coloring as the only nose impact. Yeah. If that amount was in a whiskey bottle, it might be really hard to pinpoint it, unless you had an A-B comparison. Tastes like, it has about the same difference as the nose does, which is like, I can tell the difference, but it's not dramatic. Big is too strong of a word. 10, 20? Meaningful difference. Percent? I would say 15. Okay. 15. That's fair enough. Meaningful difference. But how would that hide behind a spirit? I have some new make. Let's color up this new make. Okay. And then we'll do blind tasting. Okay. A-B comparison, this new make whiskey. It's the next day. We got our hands on some new make. We got our hands on the Distillers Caramel here. Distillers, it's a brand name. Distillers, it's a brand name. Very fancy. We're going on and on about whiskey and it has food coloring in it. But how common is this, even though there's a lot of categories you can do this in the States with? In the US, not very common. Not very common. Not very common at all. Okay. It's mainly because the categories in which you can add coloring are not popular. Which means people don't produce them because they don't sell that well. Okay. Now, in Canada, a lot more common. Oh. And in Scotland, astoundingly common. So in the States, it's not that big of a deal. The comparison we did before, this was water and food coloring. And you could definitely taste E150B. Now, remember, that's because some flavors are added. And in theory, in Scotland, you can't use E150B. Right. You gotta use E150A, which in theory is tasteless. Well, okay, so in the States though, you can use B, and I wanna see
let's do a blind taste test to see if we can find the difference between a carameled new make whiskey and a non-carameled new make whiskey.
So this is a mash bill with wheat in it. So this is a corn, wheat, barley mash bill. 1, 2,
maybe a
3,
lot for that much.
4.
5 drops, and that is like a pretty robust whiskey. That's that's a relatively. We're both tasting it blind. Best out of 5, and whoever loses the contest of accurately picking out which has the coloring and which doesn't has to sample for science just straight food color. Oh! So put your hands out, and I'm gonna put the glasses in your hands. I've mixed these up. There's one there and one there.
Okay. Oh man, this is gonna be so psychosomatic. On nose, I'm picking this one.
You got one correct.
But let's be honest. If I was not told I should be looking for a difference, would I get a difference?
I don't know, we'll see. This is science. This is how you science, man.
Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm picking this one.
Wrong.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now I'm just going off of psychology, like playing poker. I feel like this one has the caramel coloring.
Okay, you got it right.
Okay. Can we just do 2 out of 3? Because I won if I do 2 out of 3. I feel like it's the same thing. I feel like it's my right hand. I think I'm emotionally attached to my right hand. I'm gonna say it's this one. Wrong. Oh no! That's 2 and 2.
This is actually darker than the whiskey we made the first time with the water.
It is, yeah.
But it's hidden behind the alcohol.
It really is.
Hold on. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Wait.
I'm just gonna sit still and you put it in the hands.
There.
Okay.
Right there.
There we go. Oh man, I feel like it's this one. It's this one.
You nailed
oh my god. Oh, you added. You added. Oh, look at the table. Oh my god.